Welcome to our joint venture with Mindwars and The Awakening. You'll find Chris on mindwars.uk. He's also on BitChute at Mindwars. I'm on awakeningpodcast.org. I'm on BitChute at Awakening Podcast, and I'm also on YouTube. You'll also find our pages on Facebook. And we both have a donation page, so it will just help towards our websites and other costs that we've got in creating this content. So we appreciate any donations. So, Chris, how are you, boy?
Fantastic, as good as always. It's hard where to even start this week. Another week of just madness in clown world globally. So yeah, how are you this week anyway? Before we get into it,
well, I'm okay. I mentioned before, and it's in my book as well, I have a court case now tomorrow, and maybe we'll have an episode on that. But I've basically been attacked for I'm innocent, and you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. So let's maybe go and delve into that in a small little episode and let people know what's going on. But I'm exposing the whole lot, proving the cities, the courts, the corruption that's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
And actually, just mentioning that, like, you have a very good episode this week, so people should check that out as well. So there's a lady that was basically put in jail for 8 years, and you can listen to the story, you know, she was innocent. So yeah, we're just kind of exposing a lot of the corruption in the courthouses as well.
Yeah, no, for sure, definitely. But I think it's interesting there. It's an old article I actually came across. We talk about, it seems like every time we're talking about death or a vaccine or somebody dying or it's nursing homes, and there's be more of it obviously this week, but that's unfortunately what's just going around at the moment. And it's good to make people more and more aware of it. But not only can you die now, in the sense of just being cremated or get buried in the ground, but now we have the world's first human composting facility, which is opening this year. I believe it's in Seattle or somewhere in the United States anyway, that's actually opening. So, I mean, yeah, they call it recomposition or natural organic reduction. That's what we're going to now again in 2021. So who knows in these
some carbon credits for that one, will we? So there'll be less tax probably.
So who knows now
what where somebody was doing something that your body goes into a pod and then you become a tree. Yeah, but would you sign up for that? I'd say they put you in the ground a lot faster, because that's probably another place where they're actually making money from. So.
Yeah, everything, of course, is for profit, of course. So, but that was that. But I know you something in Ireland itself with care homes and more misery, of course.
What's surprising is actually it was in the Irish Examiner, and that's a paper that I used to be selling when I was 11. It's a popular Irish paper. And they're saying over 30 residents die in Cork Kerry nursing homes in 2 weeks. And Cork is basically the second biggest city in Ireland, for those that wouldn't know. More than 30 residents of 4 Cork nursing homes and a community hospital in Kerry have died in just 2 weeks following the COVID outbreaks. At West Kerry Community College in Dingle, at least 8 residents have died. Between January 21st and 26th, 8 residents, and the Bon Secures Care Village, also known as Mount Desert in Cork, have died, 3 of whom died on January 24th. 6 residents of Amberley Nursing Home in Fermoy all died within days of each other, and a 12-day period between January 18th and 29th. As in other homes, some of the residents who died are believed to have received their first dose of COVID-19 vaccine and were due to receive the booster shot. In addition, 6 more residents of another nursing home dealing with COVID outbreak have died over a 4-year period. 3 residents, Deer Park House, died on January 27th. 5 residents of a fort. I mean, I could go on, but the reality is this is sad. And I have seen, just like you probably have as well, this isn't just this. You see people coming out that are working in those nursing homes in the States, in the UK, saying that, hey, there was nobody dying last year, everything was grand. Everybody got their vaccines and they've stopped walking, they've stopped talking, and there's so many died. And I'm shocked actually that the newspapers are printing it, because normally they hide all this because most of the media is corrupt. So.
Of course, yeah. But it's becoming the correlation, globally of all of a sudden all these nursing homes are getting more and more deaths, considerably. But of course, the media, if they do report, or the vast majority of them anyway, are saying, but nothing to worry about. I mean, we expected some elderly to die anyway. So, you know, they're obviously, for their first stance is to basically eliminate the vaccine to any death. That's their main, what they're trying to get across. Obviously, it's not got to do with vaccine, you know, it's just COVID. The new thing is, of course, is we're having more massive COVID outbreaks now in these care homes, of course. So we're stretched to capacity. Apparently, there's loads and loads, thousands in areas of care home workers that are put off on the COVID-19 situation. So they're, you know, laid up at the moment. They're either, you know, away for 14 days facilitating in their homes or wherever they are. They're isolating, I should say. So it's, you know, it's madness, of course, what it is. And we see, of course, in Gibraltar as well. There's a report there, I think, in vaccineimpact.com or some site like that, I think it was called. They said there was 53 have died. Their reports that 53 had died within 10 days of the vaccine rollout. And apparently all through the pandemic last year, because I mean, Gibraltar is very, very small. And all through the pandemic last year, they said they had only something like 16 deaths from COVID, you know, in less than a year. And this vaccine gets rolled out. And then within 10 days, 53 die. So... yeah,
I mean, Gibraltar is basically connected to Spain, but the UK one, it's just similar to Northern Ireland, where the UK are kind of taking control. But it's a small population there, and that's a high number for the population. And I see also that Poland becomes the latest country to roll out the vaccine passport. What I'm saying is Poland has become the latest country to roll out a vaccine passport that will give those vaccinated against the coronavirus the ability to exercise exclusive rights. Polish Health Minister Anna Gołomska has stated that the Poles who receive both doses of the COVID-19 vaccine will receive a vaccine passport, which will come in the form of a QR code through an electronic public health account, presumably a smartphone application. The QR code will be so-called passport of a vaccinated person, which will confirm that the person has been vaccinated and can use the rights to which vaccinated people are entitled. You know, and just further down, I mean, we can give a link to this document, but they're like saying the country received its first shipment of the 2-dose Pfizer vaccine COVID-19 in December. Poland's decision to issue the vaccine comes on the heels of reports that the United Kingdom is set to roll out a similar electronic document for trial in selected areas in Britain. The London Telegraph reported on Tuesday that biometrics from iProve and cybersecurity firm Mindwars have developed a vaccine passport, which will be optionally provided as a smartphone app for Brits against COVID-19. It will roll out, take place in 2 jurisdictions and monitored by government until March. UK public health officials say the passports will help monitor who has received the vaccine. And like, this is just for other people around the world, because, you know, we've got international audience. The Russian government began issuing vaccine passports to inoculate citizens at the start of the year for the purpose of traveling across domestic and international borders. Denmark, Israel, and the Canadian province of Ontario have also either announced a vaccine passport or they're exploring the idea. I mean, like Singapore Airlines in December became first major carrier to announce a digital health certificate. So in all, the reality is they're all going to try to do this. Unless people stand up and refuse this, you're not going to be able to travel. I mean, we've said it in previous episodes, like that we believe, like they'll start off with the pensioners, or you don't get your pension unless you get vaccinated. And then it'll be the people on the dole. And eventually it'll be turned to people who got vaccinated against those that are awake.
Yeah, and of course the ones like myself and yourself and many others that would push back against it and won't actually get vaccinated, no matter what the outcome is, you know, will be started. They'll try and cast us out to one side and try and cast us out of society and all this. We'll be excluded. They'll try and exclude us from a lot of things anyway. But they do forget we have inalienable rights. And as we're looking more and more into natural law / common law and all that as well, you know, as we've mentioned many times, Professor Dolores Cahill is doing a fantastic job on all that. But, you know, I think it's the Freedom Airways, the airlines. I mean, there's loads of work there rumbling in the background as well. That's very positive, as it sounds all doom and gloom what we're talking about, but there's a lot of positive stuff going on. So I'm feeling positive. I'm not in this get me down. I know you're doing the same as well. We just got to keep pushing forward. But we know in the past from many situations and stories that people power does actually work. And the answer is staring us straight in the face. I've talked to many of my own people back home as well, but some of them are just like, yeah, but I just can't do it. I'm not able to. I know that's the answer, is basically always get together. But unfortunately, people just won't. A lot of people won't get together. I don't know what it'll take for their back to get to the wall, like ultimately, and finance and everything is cut off. They really, unfortunately, I think we really have to see harder times before that will properly change. But we'll see how it goes. But the end on all the sort of debts and stuff, and we're talking about at the moment. I mean, finally there. I mean, from the health. The Children's Health Defence, they've just reported from the CDC saying that 329 deaths and 9,516 other injuries reported following the COVID vaccine. That's the latest from the CDC data. So, I mean, those 329 reported deaths, I think 285 were from the US and 44 were from other countries. And a lot of that comes from the VAERS, VAERS system. So I won't say it's unreliable in a sense, but whatever, if they gave you like 100 deaths for argument's sake, you can guarantee it's that and way more on top of it. So they kind of report the minimum. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't get reported on it. So that number is definitely real, and you could easily add a lot more to that as well. So
they came out, because we reported on that as well. They came out before with the different deaths and stuff, and then they adjusted it. It was 6% of what they were reporting. And the other thing is, the CDC is actually a vaccine manufacturer, I believe, aren't they? They make the vaccine. So they're actually, why would they knock something that they're making their profit from?
Of course, and I also know that there was a study back, I think it was about the guts of 10 years ago, in some university, I believe it was England, don't quote me on it, but and the guy said what the independent studies and stuff he had actually done on that VAERS itself. He said as little as 1% actually gets reported. And that was about 10, 11 years ago. Maybe they've improved in the meantime, but 1%. So if we're talking just what we mentioned out, if that's only 1% of what it is, which I wouldn't be surprised, but if it is, it just goes to show like the scale is just astronomical as to what's going on at the moment. But moving away from that, then
same with the examiner that I mentioned earlier. I reckon it's the same. We're only seeing 1% because they have to report something when there's probably all the families. There's an outcry because a lot of people are grieving because of the stupidity that's going on around the world.
Of course, but you look at the paedophilia in the Catholic Church and all that, and it goes in many other churches as well. That's only the tip of the iceberg. I mean, what comes out of Rome and the Vatican and the pedophilia and all that kind of stuff is they're only giving it what comes onto the mainstream itself, I should say. Like, they're only giving us pittance as to what is actually going on. And there's more and more that revelations will come out in time. But moving on from that, anyway,
we'll do an episode on that as well, because we would have seen a lot of that in Ireland. That you'd have a priest that was caught, and then they just move him to a different parish. So
of course,
when that's happening, it's rotten to the core. But just getting back on the vaccines, because like Poland, they've administered over 1 million already, and there's a population of 38 million and 150,000, which is the second dose. But what's scary, I mean, it's basically saying the Polish press agency reported, based on data from the health ministry, that 144,315 nurses, 134,507 doctors, 21,849 dentists, midwives, 17,689, pharmacists, 14,078, and lab diagnostics, 8,440. In other words, some people are calling them the frontline workers, but if we're looking at what's happening with a lot of people, the side effects and everything, it's like, if we're researching this and there's, I don't know, is it 100,000 are from this World Doctors Alliance now after signing the document? So if you've got intelligent people that have actually come out proving this and you're giving all the information for it, why have not these people done the same? They're just, they're not doing the research. Like we always say, don't listen to what we're saying. We're giving resources. But I mean, if you do a proper search on Brave or GoDaddy, you will find a lot of this information. And it shocks me that you've got all these professionals in the medical industry just getting jabbed and just thinking, yeah, this is grand, with something with, is it 99.8 or 98.8? I mean, if they're telling us it's 98.9, it's probably 99.99999 something,
And wouldn't you normally, back before, we'd round up to the nearest number. So if it's 99.7, or you kind of go, well, we'll round it to 100. So it just shows how little to no impact this has. I mean, as we've down the rabbit hole so many times, there is actually no pandemic. There's a mass hysteria in the pandemic with the media and governments and all that, but on the ground, in reality, there is no health pandemic that the world has to be closed down over. It's just, it's absolute insanity. And what you're talking about, you know, the frontline workers and this kind of stuff, I associate nearly frontline workers if they're down in the trenches in a world war or something like that, you're proper really on the front line, but they're labeling themselves as the frontline workers, doing a job that they signed up for years ago, and that's what they knew that was ahead of many. So what's so different than now than 10 or 20 years ago when this is what they're trained up for. They're trained for all sorts of circumstances and situations. So that's what they are. But I mean, if all these people are getting injected on the, you know, the front line, and a lot of them are getting side effects, or the possibility of getting side effects, some possible death, unfortunately, where then are going to be the so-called frontliners to actually help people that have all these lung diseases, you know, cancer, and the list goes on, heart disease, all this, how they're not going to be there to facilitate those people. So yeah, that's madness in itself. But even moving on from that, then we have sleepy Joe Biden, of course. We talked a small bit last week on the on the executive orders, just touched on it, but the one that's making the rounds in the last couple of days or the last week or so is obviously the one where the executive order he signed over, where now you can basically, you know, which is not inclusive to women. So the likes of LGBTQ and stuff like that as well. So it's basically if you're a biological man but you're deeming yourself to be a woman, basically Sleepy Joe is basically saying that, yeah, you can go now and play in the women's sports, whatever it is, and that's it. So you're kind of unraveling 50 plus years of advancement on where women try to get to, you know, to segregate what it is, because I mean the male body and the female body are completely different, and that's just the way it is. So that's why there is a lot of men's sports and there's a lot of women's sports, and why they're separate. So now obviously women are kicking up. I've seen they're on Tucker Carlson, a few different places, but they're kicking up, and rightly so. They're kicking up over this, can say, well, this isn't right. So all of a sudden a biological man that's claiming to be a woman and stuff can just walk into our dressing rooms and using our facilities and showering with us and all this, and training us. And of course they're going to win a lot of stuff because the power and strength and the muscles and different things a man would have compared to a woman. So it's just, you know, it just gets better with the insanity. But it's all kind of got to do with down the road, this fusion, this kind of gender stuff down the road is what it is. So you'll have kind of no gender eventually route is what they're kind of going to go down. So that's the madness he's coming out with.
It's being pushed as well, because, you know, it was put into a lot of the shows. So it's been confusing a lot of people. And what I've seen is they're allowing children to decide that they want to change their sex. And I came across one article where one person had changed it, and then when they were 16, they realized they made a mistake and changed it back. Like, to allow a child to change their sex, it's sick.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but yeah,
I don't know where
it's been pushed because that came out of the blue like everything else, and it's just being pushed around the world now again.
It is, yeah. It's a crazy situation that they're going in. I feel sorry for the women that are in that situation, that they have to put up with this now again. So they're getting attacked over it. But also we have what you call is the Black Lives Matter. I should say this week. Black Lives Matter up for a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, please, Black Lives Matter. The political movement.
How did they manage that one?
I mean, it just, you know, it gets better. I mean. So an organization that's racist within itself, you know, doesn't stand for the genuine Black lives, because obviously Black Lives Matter, but the actual political movement funded massively by George Soros and many others in the background, like pumping tens of millions into it. They're so heavily funded in the background. And these are the people who are violent. We've seen the violence all of last year, being tearing down statues, burning streets, taking over blocks of Seattle. And these are the kind of people that, and this is the kind of organization you're going to put up for, like, you know, standing up for racism and all this kind of stuff. It's ludicrous to what they are. And it's madness, but just kind of shows the corruption and where, you know, media's minds are. This is the kind of stuff they're promoting. Obviously they were talking about defunding the police last year, and we're definitely like, obviously we need the police, but the way it's going the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, I'm thinking it might be a good idea to defund the police, because of the absolute tyrannical animals that they've turned into. They're not even police, half of these people. And what they've been breaking into people's homes, and I've seen loads of videos there, just walking in, kids screaming everywhere and people taken away because they weren't wearing a mask, or just something so ridiculous. And this is the insanity I've got to. So they're up for that at the moment, and who knows, they might get it. So just another
And
week in
just when
stupid.
you thought things couldn't get any crazier, the PCR tests, I mean, it wasn't good enough to ram it up your nose and try to touch your brain cells
Yeah.
and use the same swab in your mouth. A lot of countries were doing that. But now there's going to be a case of bend over there, Chris.
Yeah, now you're getting the anal COVID bum swab. And yeah, even in China, it's there. You can see him at the Beijing airport with the video there going around. They show a dummy bent over. He's like he's in a pajamas, something like that, and the guy is talking away and just pulls down the pajamas and straight in with a little swab and breaks it off. And now there he is. That's it. Testing. It's more a sure way of testing for COVID. It shows up better, apparently, is what they're saying than the actual going straight up the nose, breaking the blood barrier brain, or and breaking your blood brain barrier, I should say, and going up into the head. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, and like if you look at the video, because basically after he's removed it, puts it into the glass container and then snaps it. But I can picture around the world, obviously not everybody is competent as we have seen, and you can imagine it doesn't snap and it just flicks out. So you've a Klingon flying across the room, going for some nurse or something like that. Some brave nurse will take a bullet for everybody and dive on top of it.
I mean, where is humanity? I mean, where is common sense? Logic is just completely gone out the window in the last 12 months. And people need to really grab a hold of themselves and say, like, shake themselves, say, what's going on here? Because this is just, where does it end between? We talked an episode there a while back of in China, they were asked the people on the airlines to wear nappies for maybe a 12-hour flight or so. Because instead of sitting on toilets, you might prevent COVID. And that's, I mean, and now from the nappy situation to now you're getting the swab in the arse. It's just imagine going on holidays and go, yeah, packing all my suitcases, can't wait, this will be good. Now land in Beijing, oh yeah, do the usual now, bend over before I actually can get out of the airport itself. I mean, what a holiday to look forward to, like, bringing the kids and everybody with you, and that's what you look forward to. I mean, anyway, yeah, that's that.
I see, because a lot of people are thinking that once you get your vaccines, all returns to normal. So not our leader, but our previous leader, who's kind of like has a joint role with the current leader, and I think he gets it 2 years later, Leo Varadkar, has warned that holidays abroad and even traveling home for Christmas could be off the cards this year should mandatory quarantine be introduced. The government is under increased pressure to reduce the transmission of COVID-19 as hospitals around the country continue to work close to full capacity with some near breaking point. I mean, like prior to this even happening, our health system has been the worst around the world. They've destroyed it. Because I remember that there was plenty of people in corridors before any COVID.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, you would have probably seen that as well. So now they're saying, we're near capacity. The reality is they have destroyed the health system. And I wish that, like, that guy is actually a doctor. You would think that a doctor would actually do the proper research and realize, and I'm not saying believe X, believe Y, but listen to both sides of the story, have proof, the scientific evidence. Even we've mentioned it loads of times about the PCR tests and the frequencies they're using, and now even the World Health Organization came out and said that's correct. So, like, if we can know that, how come a doctor can't know that that's actually was previous leader of the country? It's sad.
I tell you, the thing is, unfortunately, he does know it. But it's a globalization takeover is what it is. So he's just governed by Brussels, governed by the WHO, these people in the background. So he's just been a good little boy and taking these little orders, and that's he couldn't give two shits about the Irish nation or the people in it. He's just taking his orders, taking his paychecks, and away he goes. He doesn't want to go against the grain of the rest of the countries and the rest of the organization that are actually behind him, because unfortunately he's a so-called leader, but the same guy who wouldn't get him to run a bat. So this is the chap you have, allegedly in power, just taking orders and passing them, reads them out into the Irish nation. So no, but you're right in what you're saying with the hospital bed situation, because that's been like that for years and years and years. They've been complaining every year about these beds. So this is nothing new. Same in England, we're over capacity in the beds and this and that. It's like, just give us a break. This is your problem. You've been going on for years and years. Don't blame the alleged COVID or virus and all this nonsense on it, because that's a problem that's gone on for such a long time anyway. So yeah. It's just more. But
I'm just trying to find out the thing that, because, and it's just something that we need our listeners' help, because like we've mentioned, we've been shadow banned on everything, you know, we've been hidden. How I share a lot of the stuff from my Facebook pages is you just go into a group and you share, and there's normally like a blue box for all the different ones that'd be relevant, and you just hit the box. Now they don't have that anymore. You have to go into an arrow and share individually. So it has like multiplied. It'll take you 20 times more time to share to 20 groups than previously. It is painful. But I just put up my video there just this morning. I had sent to Chris. It was the last episode, and what it started showing up is more about this post. This post mentions COVID-19. For info and resources, go to COVID-19 Information Center, see info. Originally from BitChute, registered more than 5 years ago. Chris, well, first of all, I only put it up yesterday, so it's not from BitChute, it's from me. And BitChute, is BitChute 5 years?
No, they haven't been around 5 years. I mean, a quick Google search, even though you don't use Google, but anyone that wants a quick Google search, that you'll only see it around just in the last couple of years. I believe was it January 17 or something they came around. So to me, doing the sums, we're in what, 2021 now.
Yeah, that's 4. Yeah,
doesn't
four.
quite add up. Yeah,
yeah. But so
yeah.
And like our
And this is the
point
fact
is
checkers.
that people sometimes they go, "Oh, the fact checkers, you're wrong." So like that's blatant lies again. I mean, we've caught them out umpteen times, and I've actually put up a video on my BitChute as well, how to block the fact checkers, because we know we've got a lot of like-minded people as well that are trying to share the message. So we've a video up that's actually showing you what to do to stop the blockers on your Facebook page, you know.
Yeah, which is a good little quick video. I'd advise people just to check it out. I think it's only, is it 2 minutes or something long that you done, but it's just swift and fast, and you'd get to the point of what it is, and just it'll stop but there's different ones in it, isn't there? There's fact checker, then there's fact checkers, and there's a few different things. You can just
fact
block
checking
them all.
Yeah. Check. But I mean, I blocked, I'd say maybe 100. You know, so but like the thing is, you know, people start quoting you, "Oh, I got this on Snoops." A lot of people would say that. All I'd say is, do you know and investigate Snoops, and then you will stop believing in fact
checking. Stay well away from there.
I'm not going to tell you. I want you to do homework. Your homework for today is investigate the founders of Snoop, what they're about, who they are, and as I mentioned earlier, go on Brave or DuckDuckGo. Don't go to Google, because Google will probably tell you that they're the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah. I even notice myself, and sometimes just to see a correlation between. Sometimes I'll use DuckDuckGo, but whatever I type into that, for argument's sake, I'll type the same into Google, just see what will turn up. And a lot of time it won't turn up on Google, or if it does, it'll turn up at the articles that'll be on it will be playing it down completely. It'll be completely different to what it is. It'll be just a real soft touch compared to DuckDuckGo will generally give it you as it is. And that's that. But I think that's our weekly report done for this week.
Exactly. So we'll have more for you next week, and we need to get the Amazon one up as well. So we promised you that, so we've it done. So we need to put that out as well, just a bit of editing and stuff. But we'd like to get your feedback on that when we put it up as well, the Amazon one, because we can delve deeper in that. So if you like it, let us know. And we've also got a few others that we're going to go into specific topics. So stay tuned, and please share.
I've one actually coming out myself there on next Monday or so. I'm just gonna make people aware it's a 5G one, but I advise people to check out is it's called wearenotsam.com, and there's a very good lady that's basically over that at the moment, and I won't go through what it is. You can either watch it, check out their website, and I'll be releasing that next Monday or so. People can check that out, but it's really good. There's a petition and stuff on it about, you know, the anti-5G and what's going on and so on and so on. So check out that if people want to check it out. wearenotsam.com, all one word.
Perfect. Yeah. So you'll find Chris on mindwars.uk, and he's on Mindwars on BitChute. I'm on Awakening Podcast on BitChute, and you'll find me on awakeningpodcast.org. Please share, please give us a thumbs up, and until next week, take care.
See you then.